Hello everyone, hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another reaction episode of Bleach, 1000-Year Blood War. This is Haarute, my name is Matt, hello. Okay, so, we're watching episode 12 today. Let me just say, it hasn't been a week since last episode. I'm recording this like only a few days later, as fast as possible, because I had 10 days where I couldn't record at all, and I'm behind on Bleach schedule. And apparently, I saw on Twitter that the new season of 1000-Year Blood War is gonna start airing 2 days from now. That's lovely. I'm 2 episodes behind, so I am recording this, and I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to record the finale before the new episode comes out. Whatever the case, I am maybe gonna be recording like 4 episodes of Bleach within a week, which is okay, that's too much for me. Last week's episode, I spent like a full hour just like analyzing whatever went down. And in my mind, I was thinking to myself, like, maybe if I record a couple of them together, I can like bundle them up. But then I'm like, no, it's fun to spend like an hour just talking about like a single episode. And now whatever I said, it might not matter because I'm gonna be watching this immediately afterwards. But okay, something I did think about while editing that episode, which was important enough for me to record like an extra thing, and I'm gonna mention it here, is that I realized that like Masaki could still be alive, because in the world of Bleach, when you die, you don't really die, you go to Soul Society. So we have a couple options here. Masaki turned into a holo because she got the holo cancer or whatever. Masaki got recruited for the Quincy's because she's a Quincy and she got brainwashed or whatever, because that's something they can apparently do. 3, she double died and she's actually dead, but she didn't die when she died. There was another death that happened in Soul Society. And also, if we think about it, like, there has to be a reason why Ishin couldn't come back to Soul Society, and the answer is probably Aizen. Because Ishin knew that a traitor was there because someone sliced his back with a Sanpakto, and he was like, oh, that was a Sanpakto, there was a traitor. So I'm thinking that he's gonna go back to Soul Society and he's gonna say there was a traitor, and then Aizen is gonna use Kyoka to manipulate everyone into thinking that actually Ishin is bad, which is the exact same thing he did for like Urahara and shit. Anyways, so that's what we have. The thing about Masaki is the most important thing to me, though, because now I'm sitting here thinking like Masaki's gonna like show up or something, or maybe not. Maybe that won't happen at all. Maybe in this episode we'll get some answers as to that. Maybe in this episode we'll see her die and then die again just to make sure that she's actually dead. So we'll see what actually goes down in Everything But the Rain Jun Truth. I think that's the name of this episode. It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, let's just watch the episode. Patreon, check out the Patreon link in the description below. You can support the channel, watch early Bleach episodes. I have no idea what the release date for any of these is gonna be, but the way I try to make things work for Patreon is that whenever you see this episode on YouTube, I'm gonna be 2 episodes ahead on Patreon, which means that if you're watching this, I've probably posted my reaction to the first episode of season 2 already. Don't take my word for that. Check first and then support the channel if you want to do that. But yeah, anyway, that's something I forgot to plug in last week, actually. I was just too excited to watch Bleach. Let's watch it now. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to watch this and next episode. Let's just go and see what happens. Bleach, 1000-Year Blood War Season 1, Episode 12, actually, I think it's 12. 12, let's go! Okay, he went back to report. I'm guessing he didn't tell them about the Quincy. Thank you, man. Yes! I mean, he kind of self-destructed. He didn't mention Masaki. Yeah. This is next day, I think. I think June 4th was when this took place. I mean, these are Ichigo's parents, so this is actually a love story now. Are they just gonna be sitting there thinking about each other? Just admiring each other. The whole cancer. What's that issue? Oh, it's Urahara! Holy shit! He felt it. I felt holo cancer. Whatever that was. Threats are interlinking. History. Answers. So by the way, I cut my hair like literally 20 minutes ago before I started recording this, and it's really bothering me. I need to give it like a week before it's fine again. No offense to this intro, but I hope the intro for the next season is better. I mean, I like it more than After Dark, but that's a low bar. Who told her? The maid? Yeah.
問題はありました。
何？
正木様はホローの攻撃で傷を負っておられました。奥様の手で正式なクイーンシーの治療術式を行っていただかなければ、将来の石田家のクイーンシーの血が濁ってしまう可能性がありました。おっしゃったではありませんか。正木様との結婚はクイーンシーの未来のためだと。
Okay, I get her logic. It's a shit logic, but I get it. I mean, she's also right. She has holo cancer or whatever, so. My fault. No. Ooh, that's bad. That's real bad. We need to execute her immediately. Okay. Where is he taking her? Oh, what was that wound on her leg? Even they have a past that we should learn. Is she attracting holos with that? Hi, Ishin. What's up?
Yeah, お前なんだ待てちょっと見せてくれ触るなことになったと思っているんだ
Because she saved you, it's your fault!
Yeah. クイーンシーの掟を破ってまで死神であるお前を守ってそのせいで傷を負ってどうして正木がこんな目に遭わなきゃいけないんだ
I like that he cares. I like that we're learning that he cares a lot.
原因なのか僕はお前をやめましょ
う Urahara! Okay.
ここで争ってる時間はない二人とも私についてきてくださいその子を助ける選択肢を教えます
Less than holo cancer is more like the holo transferred itself to her, right? Because I have a running theory that that holo and the holo that's inside of Ichigo right now are the same holo. Cool. That looked similar to Ichigo's mask.
その子のような症状をもう100年ほども研究してきました
何者だ
私の名前は浦原喜助
He should know him.
ソウルソサイティを追われた身です
Ishin should know
浦
him.
原喜助
Yeah.
あんたが早く正木を元に戻してくれ
元に戻すとは言っていませんそのお嬢さん正木さんはもう二度と元には戻りません
Okay.
ホロー化とは一つのコンパクにホローのコンパク
Okay, so she's turning into a Visored, but like the Quincy version of it. I like this flashbacks.
本来は死神のコンパクを強化するためのものでしたしかしホロー化したコンパクはやがて理性を失った怪物となり最終的には自らの意志とは無関係に自滅ホロー化は制御不能の技術なんです
制御不能だとそれじゃあ正木を助けることなんかできないじゃないか
命を救うことはできます
She's just gonna have to live with the holo
私はこの100年の研究の中でこのコンパク自殺を防ぐ方法を発見しましたそれはホロー化と相反するものをコンパクに直接注ぎ込むことコンパクの境界線が破壊されないようにバランスを保つことでそれを防ぐことができるんです
Do I know this? I don't know if I do.
クイーンシーの光の矢と人間のコンパクから作ったワクチンを注入すればその状態でとどまれるんですよホロー化した死神はですがクイーンシーにはホローに対する抗体がないワクチンだけでは足りないんす相反する力をぶつけ合わせて中和させるということですクイーンシーの彼女の命を救いホロー化させず人間のまま存在をとどめるにはもっと強力な相反する力が必要
What
です
would that be?
彼女が死ぬまで片時もそばを離れず彼女のホロー化を抑え続ける
嘘だ
Ishin.
他にも方法があるだろ
切れる人だ。あなたに選択肢はありません。選択肢があるのは
It's Ishin.
あなたですよ、芝一心。クイーンシーと相反するものは死神。
Okay,
フォローと相反
that's
する
what
も
I
のは
thought.
人間。
It's like rock, paper,
クイーンシー
scissors.
とフォローが混ざり合った存在。それと相反するのは死神と人間が混ざり合った存在。私が作った特殊技能。
You gotta turn human, and you'll be a hybrid, and then you can save her.
これを使えばあなた自身が死神と人間の中間の存在、つまり彼女と相反する存在になるんです。ただしあなたには一方的なデメリットの多すぎる選択肢。
Of course it
あ
does.
なたのコンパクをまさきさんのコンパクトをまさきさんに入ったフォローの両方に霊視で紐付けをし
And we know how
な
this
きゃいけません。
ends, so.
それはまさきさんが生きている限り、いえ子孫にも永遠に受け継がれていきます。この義
Okay.
骸に入っている間、あなたは死神の力を使うことはおろか、フォローを見ることすらできなくなるでしょう。二度と死神には戻れない。
あいつにはデメリットしかないじゃないか。
He's not gonna take it.
こんなものを受け入れるわけがない。
And he does.
こんなもの。わかった。やる。
Yep.
はい。やるって言ったんだ。さっさと
That's
しろよ。
exactly the kind of character he is. It's like, man, I don't care, shut up, do it.
未練はないんすね。
ないわけねえだろ。タラタラよ。だがそれが何だってんだ。未練に足を引っ張られて恩人を見殺しにした俺を明日の俺は笑うだろうぜ。
He said exactly the same thing that she said, like his own version of it.
わかりました。
Wow, okay. I like how they were literally made for each other. And Ishin shows up to save her inside of her mind palace or whatever.
おめえを守りに来たぜ。俺が来たからにはこいつにはもう指一本触れさせねえからな。ゲツが
Densho! Hell yeah. Okay.
もう大丈夫です。
そうか。
Or has like the priest at like the
あの
wedding.
時の死神さんじゃないですか。
She's
名前
dreaming.
教えてください。
Where's Ryuken? Did he leave? I mean, he has a lot to think about right now, I think.
まさき様は置いてこられたのですか。死神のところへ。
帰ってお母様に伝えるといい。龍剣にクイーンシーを守り通す資格などないと。
Oh.
帰りません。坊ちゃまを一人にはいたしません。生涯のすべてをかけて龍剣様に尽くすことがこの片桐の務めです。初めてお会いしたあの日から片桐の人生は龍剣様のもの。
I mean, this dynamic is a little bit weird, but
悲しまれれば
is this Uryu's mom?
片桐の心は張り裂けます。
I just thought about it. She has black hair.
龍剣様が涙されれば。
片桐、帰ろう。正木は高校卒業後、ほどなくして石田家を出ることになった。霊術院で学んだ医学を生かして小さな診療所を開いた。
Yeah, I
勉強す
guess.
ることも山ほどあったが、浦原の手も借りながらなんとかやっていけた。大学生になった正木は俺の白衣姿をよくからかいに来た。死神の力をなくした理由をソウルソサエティでヘマをして追放されたからだと言った。
You never told her the reason.
その理由を言い始めたあたりで、
Oh.
正木はとっくに嘘を見抜いてたんだろう。あいつはきっと俺のどんな嘘も見抜くし、どんな嘘も許してしまうだろう。二人で見た映画の中で、じいさんが長年連れ添ったばあさんを太陽に例えていた。
Oh.
正木がボロ泣きしてたこと以外は何の記憶も残っちゃいねえが、そのセリフだけが心に残った。正木は太陽に似ていた。全てを引きつけ、全てを許し、全てを照らし振り回す。俺はただ正木に振り回されていることが幸せだった。
Alright.
そしてお前が生まれた。あとはお前も知ってる通りだ。
Yeah.
そしてソウルソサエティでの戦いを通して、
Mhm.
お前の中のフォローが呼び起こされた。お前の中のフォローが解放されたってことは、つまり俺の霊圧じゃそいつを抑えきれなくなったってことだ。俺の義骸とそのフォローとのつながり
And
は
that's how you managed to become a soul reaper
死神の
again.
力を取り
Yeah.
戻したんだ。お前が経験してきたことの中でまだお前が知らないことがある。 母さんが死んだ日のことだ。聞いていけ。
What really happened?
あの日、母さんが死んだ本当の理由を。
The episode's still going. There's gonna be an after credit scene. I see it in the runtime. There's like a fifth of the episode left. Okay, that was good. We'll learn. But also, there is more to her death. We can learn that next episode. Part of me just wants to watch the next episode right now. I really like the CD. Maybe my favorite Bleach ending out of all of them. More rain.
母さんは本当はあの日死ぬはずはなかったんだ。本来はエヒトクインシー。
Was she killed by another quincy or something?
やられるどころか傷の一つも負うことなくグランドフィッシャーを。
That's what I'm thinking. Like, what happened? Blood wore off for whatever reason.
あの日クインシーの力を失ったからだ。
Why?
9年前に何があったんだよ。アウス・ベーレン、ユーハバッハの手によるクインシーの選別だ。クインシーの伝承に封じられた王を歌ったものがあると聞いた。900年を経て鼓動を取り戻し、90年を経てリチを取り戻し、
And then
10
after
年を経て
strain after 9 years.
自らが不浄と定めたクインシーたちから力を奪い去り、自らの力としたと。
He took
体の母親片桐かなえは命を落とし、正樹は力を失い、戦い
he took her powers, and that's how she died.
なんでそんなことができるんだよ。ユーハバッハはクインシーの始祖だ。すべてのクインシーには奴の血が流れている。
Everyone is at a standard of him. He's the first, including him.
さらばだ、黒崎一を闇に生まれし我が息子よ。親父、ありがとう。お
All right. Yeah, she brought him the batch again, right? Yeah.
ありがとな、イクビさん。親父、俺、行ってくるよ。
All right. We can go to heaven now. Now that we have gone through.
私が世界には危険が満ちていると信じ、その危険からお前を守りたいと願うのは、私の中にその危険と同質の衝動があるからに他ならない。
13. The blade is me. It was really quick. It's not even the blade isn't me. It's the blade is me. The blade is me. We learned. We knew what happened now to Ichigo's mom. We literally know everything now. Well, we don't know everything. The fact that she died doesn't mean that she didn't really die. Maybe she's still alive in Soul Society or whatever. Or maybe she's not, right? Maybe she's not because she was a hollow hybrid Quincy. I'm not fully sure she's a human because of what Urahara said. He said I need the opposite of her to counteract it, and the opposite would be a hybrid of a Shinigami and a human, which would imply that she's not a human. She's only a hollow and a Quincy. So Quincy's are not human, apparently. But anyway, maybe when she died, she didn't go to Soul Society. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know. But I'm still sitting here thinking that like when she died, she must have gone to Soul Society somehow. But anyway, that might turn out to be the case. That might not be the case. I don't know. Okay, we learned. That's the most important part. So in this episode, we got to learn finally, Masaki did get holo cancer. She was going through holification, which is the exact same thing that every visor has gone through. The difference is that she wasn't a holified Shinigami, she was a holified Quincy, which honestly would have been cool to see. But anyway, now that we're here, we know Ishin became a human in order to protect her. He basically gave his life away in order to help Masaki and save her life. And also because, let's be honest, they grew in love. But it's just really because he was a cool dude, really. I like that Ishin's character really comes through here, because even Ryuken is just sitting there just like, this is only downsides for him. There's no way he would take it. And I was like, he's gonna immediately take it. And he did. He was like, all right, I'm in, let's do it. And then Urahara's like, what? And he's like, shut up, do it. Stop talking, just save her life. And everyone's like, what? And it's like, yeah, that's just the kind of person he is. I like that. I like that Ishin is a character that has been like a gag character since like the very first episode of Bleach. He's always been just like the funny guy. You know, he just has like the fun death trope going for him. But like the thing about him is that's just his personality. Like part of it is an act, but not really. There's a couple of scenes where he gets really serious and you're sitting there thinking like, oh man, is he faking it like most of the time? But it's like, no, that's just the kind of person he is, and he can get serious when he wants to. But like most of the time he's just always just goofing around and shit. But he's honestly just a very carefree person. So like even in Soul Society, when he delivers his report to Yamamoto is like, all right, we've decided not to punish you, and he's like, yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It's like, oh man, that's just the kind of person he is. I like that a lot about Ishin here. So we get to see his character back in today, what he was. We got to learn what exactly happened with him and Masaki, how they got together, how they met, and how they fell in love, and the reason behind everything about Masaki. Okay, so now we actually do get the answer to why the fuck did Masaki job against Grand Fisher? Because with what we saw last episode and everything just hypes her up, I'm sitting here like, well, she should have been able to just take out a holo. Even if Bram Fisher was like a big holo that Ichigo couldn't defeat, it was still just like a holo, right? Like, I feel like power escalation has gone so far up. Well, power escalation is not really a thing in Bleach, but still, it's one of those things where like Grand Fisher is just like an episode 9 encounter or whatever. So like, I was like, I don't know how Masaki could lose to that. We've seen Quincy do some fucked up shit in the past like 6 episodes. I don't know how she could job against that. And now we're learning that her powers just disappeared. They wore off. And the reason for that is because Yahabaha just took them. Apparently, the legend is, and I remembered it as they were saying it, I was like, oh fuck, 9 years ago. Because at the very beginning of the season, they said the Quincy King was defeated like 1,000 years ago. He slept for 999 years ago. He trained for 99 years, and then he regained his strength like 9 years ago. It went in nines, right? In like removing a character. So when they started talking about that legend, I was like, 9 years ago? Oh fuck, that matches. And then I'm sitting there thinking, and it's like, well, he just stole her powers. Somehow, he just did that. And they talk about how Uryu's mom also died 9 years ago. So he took her powers as well. This is something we're learning. Yahabaha killed both Ichigo's and Uryu's moms. Maybe not directly, but he did do so. And Ichigo poses the question about like, how? How did he do that? That is not answered. They just say he can do it because he's the father of all Quincy's. Okay, we get a confirmation he is the original Quincy, and every Quincy is a descendant of his. And you know, every Quincy is related on some level, and we get to see through the Masaki situation with the Ishida family that even though they're cousins, they still wanted to have forced marriages in order to keep the bloodline pure or whatever. So the Quincy's are very inbred. That's what I'm saying. And I'm guessing that every single one of the really powerful boss tier Quincy's that we encountered at the first half of 1,000 Year Blood War, Wardenreich, I think that was the name of it. I'm guessing that every Quincy in that group is like a pure Quincy. It's a very inbred Quincy family right there. So that's what I'm thinking. The reason why they're all powerful is because they're all members of high tier families or whatever. And I'm guessing that other Quincy's that you can find that might not be as powerful, like for example Katakiri, they are only like half-bloods, you know, mixed with some random humans or whatever, and they still have Quincy powers, but they're not as strong. So to Quincy's, they're to the Yahabaha or whatever, to just the Quincy royalty, they see them as like, you know, you are capable, you can hang with us, but you're like, you know, you're our maid, you know, you're someone we can talk to sometimes, you know, you can do our laundry for us, but you know, we're not gonna fuck you or anything. And then Ryugen came along and he was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck that. So we learned about Uryu's mom too here. We don't know a lot, and to be fair, I don't think it matters too much. We only got to see that's where Uryu came from. We got to see Uryu's mom, Katakiri. There's really not a lot we can learn about her other than when she was a kid, she met Ryugen and they've been together the whole time. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it reminds me of like, what does it remind me of? Is it like Full Metal Alchemist? No, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of fucking Danganronpa. It reminds me of Danganronpa 2. there's two characters who that relationship applies to. Anyway, I'm not gonna say jack shit about that. Go and play that game if you want to. Well, 2 is good, but that franchise kind of sucks, but it's really interesting. It depends on what kind of person you are, if you're gonna enjoy it or you're gonna fucking hate it, and there's no middle ground. You're either gonna like it a lot because it's really fucking weird, or you're gonna fucking hate it. And also, if you want to play 2, you have to play 1 first. It's a requirement. And that sucks because 2 is the good one. Anyway, moving on. Ishin gave everything, really, and for Masaki. So Ishin didn't really go into hiding or anything. That's interesting to me. Because, like, I was thinking here, and I mentioned it even at the beginning of this episode, I was like, he's hiding on Earth, so there has to be a reason why. And I was sitting here like, oh, Aizen, like, fuck with him or something. Like, he mind control people in Soul Society in order to turn them against him or something, so he wouldn't say there is a traitor. Did Ishin ever report that there was a traitor? I mean, maybe he did, but they would have no way of knowing that it was Aizen, you know, and Tozen and Gin. So not that it would have mattered much, but, you know, he could have planted the seeds of, you know, there is a traitor, I think, someone stabbed me in the back. But then there's also the possibility that he reported that there was a traitor, and then he just went missing, like, literally the next day. So then they're like, yeah, maybe he was full of shit because he didn't get killed. They were like, oh, he just left one day for the human world and never came back. So I don't know, maybe he was full of shit or something. Like, okay, no, now that I think about it, if he reported that there was a traitor and then he disappeared, that would be even more suspicious. That would be like, oh fuck, okay, the traitor disposed of him. And that would actually narrow it down, because what it would be is that Yamamoto would say out loud in the room with the Gotei 13, oh, there is a traitor, and then Ishin goes missing the next day. And if I'm Yamamoto, I'm sitting there looking left, I'm looking right, and I'm like, one of you 11 motherfuckers did it. There's no way it was not one of you 11. Because you are the only ones that knew that this report even took place. And if he fucking spun a bottle in that room, there would have been like a 30% chance it would have landed in a traitor. He could have pointed a finger at random and it might have landed on a traitor. And also, Urahara did say, like last time, it was like, oh shit, it was Aizen! And then nobody believed them because Aizen just manipulated everyone with Kokens to get to. If I remember correctly, I think that's what happened. So, if I'm Yamamoto and I read there's a traitor, I'm like sitting there just like, okay, alright, I'm just gonna keep that for later. And given, it wouldn't have mattered, right? It wouldn't have mattered until Soul Society rolls around, I mean the arc Soul Society, and Aizen finally executes the plan, because, like, let's be honest, there's no way of discovering that Aizen was gonna betray anyone, or was betraying anyone, because Kyokasui gets his fucking busted. But I still feel like that report would have been good to have. I'm just saying, Ishin. Something interesting about Ryuken's character. Well, first of all, he cares a lot, actually. You can see him caring last episode, but in this episode, he actually really cared. He, like, grabbed Misaki and he was, like, carrying her and shit. And, like, I have no fucking clue where he was taking her, by the way. And I feel like who would even write that? Like, he didn't find, like, a reason why he would have been carrying Misaki. Or maybe there was one. Maybe in the manga it says, like, oh, I have to take her to the Quincy Grand Elders or whatever. I don't fucking know. But, like, it feels like he just took her and ran for reasons. Like, I don't know, he just, like, felt the despair of being unable to do anything, so he just left for that reason. And he just, you know how in dramas sometimes someone just feels overwhelmed by emotion and just runs away into the rain? I feel like he did something like that. And then he got rescued by Ishin from a giant holo. Maybe Misaki was holo bait at that point. Maybe the holification attracts holos. I don't remember if that was ever established. Maybe it does. Ishin rescues them, and then Urahara shows up and is like, hey, yo, what's up? But I like that Ryuken cares. Even the entire time while talking to Urahara, he's just like, dude, what can you do? Do something. And then Urahara is like, okay, no, this is how it works. He says, I've been conducting this process, research on this process for 100 years. Does that mean that the whole thing with Shinji and Urahara happened 100 years ago? Or was it just the fact that he was researching it even back then in Soul Society for a long time, which I'm pretty sure he was, because he created the Hogyoku. So what I'm thinking, and the Hogyoku's entire idea was to remove the barriers between one to the other, I think, right? So if that's the case, then maybe he was just researching it and trying to create it for 100 years, and maybe the Shinji thing just happened like last week. Well, no, because Ishin, whenever Urahara says, I'm Urahara Kisuke, Ishin does not know who he was until he said the name. And he was like, you're Urahara Kisuke? So it's almost like Ishin wasn't even a part of Soul Society when that happened. Like, he only heard the name in like tales, but he didn't actually knew the guy. So what I'm thinking is that, okay, Urahara's and Shinji's thing happened like 50 years ago, maybe 100. And then Ishin joined Soul Society, rises through the ranks, became a captain, and he always heard the stories about like Urahara Kisuke, and he was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, that was, yeah, okay, I that happened at some point anyway. That's you know, that's too backwards in time. I don't need to care about that. And then suddenly he runs into the legend and he's like, wait, what? Okay. So, okay, I'm establishing a timeline here. But Ryugen cares a lot. And I like that he cares. And at the end of the episode, well, not the end, but you can see how nearing the end of the episode, Ryugen goes to Katagiri and he says, you know, like, go back to the family and tell her that Ryugen is not fit to be like a, I don't remember what he said, but just like a good Quincy soldier or whatever. He didn't say that, but that's how I interpret that. Ryugen is unqualified to protect the Quincy's. Okay, that's what he said. Like, he sees himself as someone that is not fit to carry on the Quincy legacy. I feel like that's just something that was a turning point for his life as well. Because we see in the flashback that Ryugen is part of like the royal bloodline. But in the future, it doesn't seem like Uryu was born into that. In the future, it seems like Uryu is just like, oh yeah, there are some Quincy's just scattered around, and I guess I'm one, and I have a teacher. And I don't really get along with my dad too well, and I don't know what his deal is. But like, Uryu wasn't raised to be royalty. And I think that's because Ryugen, at that point, that day, he felt like he failed Masaki. And then he felt like he failed the Quincy's. And also, maybe he started thinking about like, maybe we're just wrong. Like, because Quincy's are just sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, Soul Reapers are our enemies, fuck them, you know? Which makes sense, they would think that way, they're being exterminated. But then he witnesses this Captain Soul Reaper just give his life away in order to save Masaki. And then he's sitting there thinking like, maybe I'm just wrong about everything. Maybe everything I know just doesn't matter, and also I failed at everything I wanted to do. So like, you know what? Fuck this. Fuck everything. Like, I actually would have liked to hear more about, like, Ryugen's internal monologue nearing the end of this episode after all the events took place, because I feel like he would have had a lot in his mind, and he would have been questioning a lot of things. So, like, I feel like it would be great if we had heard more about that. But anyway, he ends up running into Katagiri. I'm guessing they end up getting together and having Uryu. Because I think that the person that you see in like the portrait with Uryu is Katagiri. She looks like Katagiri. And they were definitely setting them up together when they were doing that scene between Ryugen and Katagiri. And that counts as marrying someone that's not pure-blooded. So I'm guessing they didn't like that either. But I'm guessing that at that point Ryugen was just like, you know what, fuck this whole thing. I'm just gonna do whatever. And he just decided to do that, which is kind of cool, but I wish we had heard more from his perspective. And also, that doesn't explain why he's such a shit dad to Uryu, right? Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, Ryugen is kind of cool, and we see that he's a caring person, and he's gone through shit, like, a little bit. He went through, like, a crisis in this 2 episodes. Yeah, I want to know why he's like that in the future. That's what I want to know. And I think that's just it. He's just like that. I don't think there's a reason. He's just kind of stern dude. But anyway, maybe we'll learn more. I mean, maybe it's because of what happened to his wife. Maybe it's because of what happened to Katagiri. After all, Katagiri does establish in this episode that like we've known each other since we were kids. So after she dies, and she did die for Yahabaha, maybe he's someone that, because he's a queen, he knows what happened. And that just made him so bitter towards all Quincy shit that he just like, he hates everything, right? And maybe Uryu, when he was a kid and he was going to like his Quincy teacher, you know, the teacher, we all remember him, the dude with the mustache. Maybe Uryu was like, I want to be a Quincy, I want to do the cool arrow shit and just be a pew pew and like fight some Reapers or whatever. And maybe Ryugen was like, oh my fucking god, Okay, sure, do whatever. And Ryugen is sitting there thinking like, oh my god, this kid doesn't know anything. How do I tell him anything? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's the reason why he's so like distant and cold. Is because everything that Uryu has been doing, he's just sitting there being like, yeah, he doesn't know what happened to his mom. He doesn't know what happened all the way back. He doesn't know jack shit. And maybe Uryu was just like eager to become a Quincy and study with his teacher and follow the Quincy traditions or whatever. Meanwhile, Ryugen is sitting there like, oh my god, fuck, I hate it, and I hate that my kid wants to do that too now. So maybe that's it. That's something that kind of makes sense to me, actually. So that's gonna be my headcanon until it is proven to be right or wrong. At the end of this episode, we got to see that Ikumi-san, I forgot her name. Does it say it on her share? Unagi. Unagiya came in and delivered the Soul Reaper badge, the substitute Soul Reaper badge to Ichigo back. That's something I forgot to mention last episode, but I realized while editing, and then I forgot again when I started recording this. But yeah, Ichigo forgot his Soul Reaper badge. And I was like, okay, this is gonna matter. I don't think it did. She just brought him back to him. Maybe it will matter in some sense, like something happened to it while he wasn't looking. But no, she just brought it back. I mean, what is the purpose of that? Is for him to just get it during the scene where he's with his dad and he's like, okay, dad, I'm going, you know, like while holding onto it, like clutching it. That's cool. I was thinking during that scene how funny it is for Unagiya to just be standing there and she was like, dad, I'm going. And then Unagiya is like, where is he? Where are you talking to? I'm not your dad. There's an argument for me being your mom, but I'm not your dad. What are you on about? He's a Shinigami. He's invisible. Like, she wouldn't have a way to see him. And it was established last episode that she couldn't see him. So, anyway. I like that just... Ishin just tells Ichigo everything. About how they met, about what she went through, holofication. Ichigo's holo was just part of Ichigo. That's not something that happened because... And that's such a fun trick to do, because back then when Ichigo's holo thing started to come out, it started to come out the moment that he regained his Soul Reaper powers, thanks to Urahara, because Urahara was like, oh yeah, you borrowed Ruki's powers, but then they took them away from you. So now you gotta regain your own Soul Reaper powers. And Ichigo was like, I have those? And Urahara's like, yeah, don't worry about that. Urahara knew all along who Ichigo was. Before Ichigo was born, he knew what it was. He was like, this dragon got a fucking kid, and that kid's gonna have a fucking nuts Reiatsu. He's gonna be part Quincy, part human, part Soul Reaper, and part Holo. Woo, that's gonna be a kid. Urahara was like Ichigo's godfather from the very beginning. He was like, oh man, like I gotta get some shit ready for that kid, because if ever that kid needs some special treatment, I gotta be just ready, because that's a special fucking kid right there. So naturally, he eventually is like, yeah, you have the potential for Soul Reaper, you know? It's not like your dad was a captain level Soul Reaper and I personally took his powers away. It's not like your mom was like a royal bloodline Quincy and also she had holo cancer that you have now, by the way. Also, Karen and Yusu probably have that too. Well, I don't know how it works, right? Like, because the way it works, because it's the same holo, like, from looking at the design of the white, as well as the holo that Masaki was seeing in her mind palace, and looking at Ichigo, it looks like the same holo mask, like the same design. So what I'm thinking is, maybe it's just one holo that jumps from one to the other. But if it's more like a disease, then Karen and Yushu should have it also. If it's like a disease, then they should have it too. That means that Karen and Yuzu, while we haven't really followed them at all, they also have nuts potential. Like, actually. Like, if Tide Kubo wanted to, and I don't think he will, but if he wanted to, he could like literally just grab Karen and Yuzu and they just show up one day and they're like, yeah, we're actually stronger than like 90% of the cast because we're also like the perfect eugenics children alongside Ichigo. Because if Ichigo has that amount of potential and everyone knows it, and like the only thing about Ichigo is that he needs to go through like people that know more than him to like point him in a direction because Ichigo doesn't know shit. If they could do that with Karen and Yuzu as well, Karen and Yuzu could be incredible. I actually really like Karen. I think Karen is a cool character. I would like to see her do more. And it's fun because she was doing stuff during the Fullbringer arc, right? Like they make an effort of showing you that during the Fullbringer arc, well, Ichigo doesn't have any powers. Karen kind of becomes the substitute for Ichigo, and she starts visiting Urahara and shit. So I would like to see Karen actually show up and do something, like fight someone. It would be great to tell them as well about everything Ichigo just learned. I don't know how they would take it, particularly Yuzu. I don't know how Yuzu could take it, and also what Yuzu could do, because Yuzu doesn't even see ghosts. Maybe Yuzu just doesn't have it in her, but I'm thinking that she probably does, and it would be really fun if she did. But like, yeah, now I'm sitting and thinking about the two of them. It would be nice to just get her in the story and do something cool. Where are they, by the way? Like, Ichigo and Ishii are just sitting there in the clinic just talking to each other, and I'm sitting here like, where are Karin and Yuzu? I mean, maybe they're asleep, but like, it would be cool if like you see like a sliding door and then Karen comes out and it's like, I heard that, you know? That would be cool. I would have liked to see that. That would be cool to see like next episode, something like that. But okay, what I'm thinking now is like, I want to watch the final episode. Next episode is the final episode of season 1. Season 2 starts in like 2 days. So like, I keep doing this motion, but like I don't have a watch, and also wouldn't tell the day, it would just tell the time. The next season comes out in like 2 days. I don't want to be an episode behind. I wasn't as afraid of spoilers before when this was airing because I wasn't paying attention. I was mostly paying attention to Chainsaw Man. So I was afraid of spoilers for Chainsaw Man, not for Bleach. I think like one day I saw like Unohana trending and I was like, what's going on in Bleach? That sounds interesting. But like, and I know why that was, but like I didn't have any context for that, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I don't want to get spoiled on who dies in the Chainsaw Man manga or whatever. Now that I know everything about Bleach Thousand Year Blood War except for the final episode of season 1, I don't want people to spoil to me the first episode of season 2, because now I'm worried, right? Now I'm worried that I don't only have to watch out for spoilers for the episode that comes out that week, but also for the finale for this season. And I don't want to spoil myself in the finale. God, I don't know. I don't have the time to record right now. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 2 days from now. But I need to find a way to record that somehow. I also need to do Buffy shit. I also have to record for Buffy. God, I'm so tired. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get myself some food, and then I'll figure out what to do with this shit, okay? This episode was a really good one. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I think Ichigo's going back to heaven, and he's gonna talk to the Sanpakuto creator, and he's gonna be like, all right, now I know. I know where I came from. I have no fucking clue how that translates into Sangetsu, by the way. I mean, the way Ishin talked about Sangetsu was about, he said, Urahara helping you awaken your Sanpakuto. So, okay, maybe Sangetsu is a Sanpakuto, which is something that was in question for me for a couple weeks now. But maybe Ku is just saving the reveal for later. But to me, it feels like Sangetsu is not really a sword. It's not a Sanpakuto, because like Sanpakutos come from Asauchis. Ichigo didn't have an Asauchi. Like I said before, last week, my comparison was like Shinigamis have to like buy like a phone, and then over time that phone becomes part of them. Like they became like a different color or something, and that's your personalized custom phone. But you have to get one first. Ichigo literally pulled a phone out of his ass, and he was like, this is my phone. And everyone's like, what? How do you do that? And it's like, I don't know, Urahara told me to. I am amazed at how much like Bleach has retroactively changed your perspective on a lot of things that it intentionally left vague. Like, I'm guessing that it intentionally left them vague. So now that we're like so many episodes in, they're finally like exploring on that, and it's like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. Before it didn't. I mean, it kind of did, but like you didn't elaborate on it enough in order for me to like care about it. But now you are filling in the blanks, and it sort of makes sense. And you know what? That's kind of cool, because we are revisiting a lot of things that we just kind of took for granted like 15 years ago. So like, that's really cool. I like that. Anyway, I'm gonna go get myself some food, and then I'll think about what to do with Bleach. Thank you so much for watching this episode reaction to 1000 Year Blood War. See you next time on the finale. Bye bye. But if you would like to watch the finale and maybe the first episode of season 2, maybe go watch how to check out the Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description below. Social media, all sorts of cool stuff that I do. See you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.